Imagine someone offered you a deal. Every single time you're about to buy something, you wait just 24 hours before making the purchase. That's it. No complicated budgeting. No extreme saving. No giving up everything you enjoy. Just wait. It sounds almost too simple. So how could a tiny habit like this save some people thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of dollars over their lifetime? Here's the shocking part. Companies spend billions of dollars every year making sure you never wait those 24 hours. Because they know something most people don't. The longer you wait, the less likely you are to buy. Your biggest financial enemy isn't low income. It isn't inflation. It isn't bad luck. Sometimes, it's the 5 seconds between seeing something and clicking buy now. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your brain hates waiting, why impulse buying feels almost impossible to resist, and how one simple 24-hour rule could quietly change your financial future forever. Let's begin. Have you ever noticed how buying something feels almost automatic? You're scrolling through social media. An advertisement appears. A pair of shoes. A smartwatch. A new gaming setup. Maybe a kitchen gadget you didn't even know existed 5 seconds ago. Suddenly, your brain starts imagining what life would be like if you owned it. Within minutes, you're reading reviews, watching unboxing videos, comparing prices, and before you even realize what's happening, your credit card is already in your hand. Most people believe they made a logical decision, but neuroscience tells a completely different story. Long before humans worried about stock markets, retirement accounts, or online shopping, our ancestors lived in a world where survival depended on taking opportunities immediately. If food appeared, you ate it. If resources became available, you collected them. Because tomorrow wasn't guaranteed, your brain evolved to reward immediate action. That instinct helped humans survive for thousands of years. But today, that same survival system is being used against you. Except instead of hunting food, you're hunting flash sales. Instead of gathering resources, you're filling an online shopping cart. Your brain still treats immediate rewards as more valuable than future rewards, even when waiting would clearly make the better financial decision. That's exactly why impulse buying feels so natural, and why saving money often feels so difficult. The problem isn't that you're bad with money. The problem is that your brain was designed for a completely different world. Now here's where things become even more interesting. Most people think dopamine is the chemical that makes us happy, but scientists have discovered something surprising. Dopamine isn't really about pleasure. It's about anticipation. Think about the last time you ordered something online. Notice what happened. You checked your email. You refreshed the tracking page. You watched the delivery progress. You imagined opening the package. Sometimes, waiting for the product felt even more exciting than actually owning it. That's dopamine at work. Your brain isn't rewarding the purchase. It's rewarding the possibility of the purchase. And companies understand this incredibly well. That's why almost every shopping app uses countdown timers. Only 2 left. Sale ends in 1 hour. Limited stock. Buy now before it's gone. These aren't random marketing tricks. They're psychological triggers. They create urgency. Urgency increases anticipation. And anticipation pushes your brain toward making faster decisions. Because your brain believes that waiting means losing something valuable, even when that's not true. Now imagine what happens if you force yourself to wait just 1 day. Suddenly, something fascinating begins to happen. The emotional excitement starts fading. The urgency disappears. The countdown timer no longer feels important. Your brain slowly shifts from emotion to logic. And that's exactly why the 24-hour rule works. Not because it changes the product, but because it changes your mind. Imagine 2 different versions of yourself. The first version sees an advertisement for a brand new pair of wireless headphones. Within 5 minutes, they're already checking out. The second version sees the exact same advertisement. They smile, close the app, and tell themselves, if I still want it tomorrow, I'll buy it. 24 hours later, something unexpected happens. They don't even remember the headphones. Nothing changed about the product. The only thing that changed was their emotional state. That's because emotions have an expiration date. Most impulse purchases aren't driven by need. They're driven by temporary emotions that feel permanent in the moment. Excitement, curiosity, stress, boredom, loneliness, even happiness. Companies know this. That's why advertisements almost never focus only on the product. Instead, they create emotions first. A luxury watch isn't just a watch. It's confidence. A sports car isn't transportation. It's success. A designer handbag isn't just leather. It's status. A new phone isn't just technology. It's the feeling of finally having the latest thing everyone else is talking about. They're not selling products. They're selling identities. Because people rarely buy things for what they are. They buy them for who they hope they'll become. And that's exactly why waiting changes everything. When you delay the purchase, the fantasy begins to fade. Suddenly you're no longer asking, how amazing will I look with this? Instead, you start asking, Do I actually need this? That single shift can save you hundreds of dollars every month. Now think about the last expensive thing you bought on impulse. Maybe it was a new phone, a gaming console, a pair of sneakers, or something you convinced yourself would completely change your life. Before buying it, you couldn't stop thinking about it. You watched reviews, compared prices, imagined using it every day. Then you finally bought it. For a few days, it felt incredible. A week later, it became normal. A month later, you barely thought about it. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. It's one of the biggest reasons people never feel satisfied with what they own. Your brain is incredibly good at adapting. That exciting new purchase quickly becomes part of your everyday life. Then your brain starts searching for the next exciting thing. Another gadget, another outfit, another upgrade, another purchase. Without realizing it, you've stepped onto what's known as the hedonic treadmill. You're constantly running, but financially, you're staying in the same place. This is why someone earning $50,000 can feel just as financially stressed as someone earning $150,000. Because spending usually grows with income. Lifestyle inflation quietly replaces financial freedom. Every raise becomes another excuse to spend more. A bigger apartment, a newer car, a more expensive vacation, a nicer restaurant, a better phone. The paycheck gets bigger, but the bank account doesn't. The 24-hour rule quietly interrupts this cycle. It forces your brain to separate desire from necessity. And that's an incredibly powerful skill. Because once the emotional excitement disappears, the true value of the purchase becomes much easier to see. Here's another fascinating experiment. Researchers found that people often make completely different financial decisions depending on when they're asked. Late at night, after a stressful day, people are far more likely to make emotional purchases. But after sleeping, those same people frequently decide they don't want the item anymore. Think about that for a moment. Sometimes, the smartest financial decision you'll ever make is simply going to bed. Because tomorrow, you'll be making the decision with a different brain. A calmer brain. A more logical brain. A brain that isn't chasing excitement. That's exactly what the 24-hour rule gives you. It gives logic enough time to catch up with emotion. And that tiny delay can completely change the direction of your financial life. Now you might be thinking, if waiting 24 hours is so powerful, why doesn't everyone do it? Because modern shopping isn't designed to help you make better decisions. It's designed to prevent you from slowing down. Every notification, every flash sale, every countdown timer, every only 3 left message exists for one reason. To make sure you buy before your logical brain has time to wake up. Think about online shopping for a moment. You click on one product. Immediately, the website recommends 5 more. Then it tells you people also bought another item. Then it offers free shipping if you spend just a little more. Then a timer appears saying the discount expires in 15 minutes. Every step is carefully engineered, not to help you, but to speed you up. Behavioral economists call this friction reduction. The easier it is to spend money, the more money people spend. Years ago, buying something required effort. You had to drive to the store, walk through the aisles, stand in line, count your cash, think about the purchase. Today, you can spend hundreds of dollars while lying in bed. One tap, one fingerprint, one face scan, purchase complete. Your brain barely has time to ask, do I actually need this? That's why the 24-hour rule creates something incredibly valuable. Friction. And surprisingly, a little friction is good, because every extra moment forces your brain to think instead of react. Imagine standing in front of a vending machine. You're hungry. You reach into your pocket, then realize you forgot your wallet. Annoying, right? But here's the interesting part. By the time you get home, you probably don't even want the snack anymore. Nothing changed except time. The craving disappeared. Impulse buying works exactly the same way. Most impulses don't last very long. They simply feel permanent while you're experiencing them. This is why advertisers work so hard to create urgency, because they know time is their biggest enemy. The longer you wait, the weaker the impulse becomes. Now let's talk about one of the most expensive habits in modern life. The upgrade culture. Every year, a new smartphone launches. A slightly better camera, a brighter screen, a faster processor. And suddenly, last year's perfectly good phone feels old. Did your phone actually become worse overnight? Of course not. Your perception changed. Companies don't need your current device to stop working. They only need you to believe it's no longer good enough. That's one of the most profitable business models ever created. It's called planned obsolescence. Not always making products break, but making customers constantly want something newer. The 24-hour rule interrupts that feeling. Instead of asking, what's new? You begin asking, what's actually wrong with what I already have? Those two questions lead to completely different financial lives. Here's another habit wealthy people quietly develop. Whenever they feel the urge to buy something expensive, they ask themselves a second question. What else could this money become? Imagine spending $1,000 on a luxury purchase. Now imagine investing that same $1,000. Over years, that money has the potential to grow far beyond its original value. Suddenly, the purchase isn't costing $1,000 anymore. It's costing everything that money could have become. That's called opportunity cost. And it's one of the biggest differences between how wealthy people think and how everyone else thinks. Most people see the price tag. Wealthy people see the future. The 24-hour rule gives you enough time to calculate that future. Instead of reacting emotionally, you begin thinking financially. And once that habit becomes automatic, your relationship with money starts changing in ways you never expected. Imagine two people standing inside the same electronics store. Both are looking at the exact same laptop. Both can technically afford it, but they make completely different decisions. The first person says, "I've worked hard. I deserve this." The second person says, "I'll come back tomorrow if I still want it." One leaves carrying a shopping bag. The other leaves carrying something far more valuable: control. Because the greatest benefit of the 24-hour rule isn't saving money. It's training your mind. Every single time you resist an unnecessary purchase, you're strengthening a mental muscle. Psychologists call this delayed gratification. It's the ability to choose a larger future reward instead of a smaller immediate one. One of the most famous psychology experiments ever conducted involved young children sitting alone in a room with a single marshmallow. They were given a simple choice: eat the marshmallow immediately, or wait a short period of time and receive 2 marshmallows instead. Some children couldn't wait. Others did. Years later, researchers found something fascinating. The children who were better at delaying gratification often performed better in many areas of life. Not because they were smarter, but because they had learned one incredibly valuable skill: patience. Money works the same way. Every unnecessary purchase you avoid today becomes another opportunity for your future, another investment, another emergency fund contribution, another step toward financial freedom. Now imagine following the 24-hour rule for an entire year. Not perfectly, just consistently. You skip a few impulse purchases. A pair of shoes you never really needed. A gadget you forgot about 2 days later. Another online sale that suddenly didn't seem so important. Maybe you save $50 one week, $100 the next, $200 another month. Individually, those decisions don't feel life-changing. But together, they begin creating something remarkable. Because wealth is rarely built through one massive decision. It's built through hundreds of ordinary decisions repeated over and over again. That's the part most people never see. They notice someone's expensive house, but they never notice the thousands of purchases that person quietly chose not to make over the years. Financial freedom usually doesn't begin with earning more money. It begins with making fewer unnecessary decisions against your future. And here's something even more important. The goal of the 24-hour rule isn't to stop buying things forever. You should absolutely enjoy your money. Travel, celebrate, buy things that genuinely improve your life. The purpose of the rule is simply to make sure the purchase is your decision, not your emotions. Because when emotions make financial decisions, logic usually pays the bill later. The next time you feel that sudden urge to buy something, pause for just a moment. Ask yourself one simple question: if this disappeared tomorrow, would I still care about it a week from now? If the answer is no, you've probably just saved yourself money. If the answer is yes, wait 24 hours. And if tomorrow you still believe it will truly improve your life, buy it without guilt. Because now, you're making a conscious decision instead of an emotional reaction. That's the real power of the 24-hour rule. It doesn't make you afraid of spending. It teaches you to spend with intention. And over time, that tiny habit can quietly separate people who constantly wonder where their money went from people who slowly build wealth, confidence, and financial freedom. Remember, every dollar you don't waste today becomes another employee working for your future tomorrow. The question isn't whether you can afford to wait 24 hours. The real question is, can you afford not to? If you enjoyed this video and want to understand the psychology behind money, wealth, investing, and smarter financial decisions, subscribe to Finance Juice. Every week, we break down powerful ideas that help you think differently about money and build a richer future, one smart decision at a time. Thanks for watching.